A massive sell-off on Wall Street tied to growing fears of a recession. The Dow Jones has fallen by 889 points, just over 2% of its value. The Nasdaq is down more than 4% as well. Let's get right to ABC's chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis. And of course, the S&P is also down where so many of our retirement funds are.
That's right. The S&P 500 down about 2.7% today. That means from the high where it was just a couple of weeks ago, the S&P 500 is now down more than 5%. And what we're really seeing here on Wall Street is that the market has been rattled. It's been rattled by the idea of tariffs being on or off. It's very headline sensitive. Those on Wall Street are paying very close attention to what the administration says. We know tariffs, more tariffs are coming in April, and that has an impact on the market. It has an impact on how businesses plan. I've talked to a number of businesses who say we've had to set aside our plans for future growth, our plans for additional spending, any kind of additional hiring, because we have to figure out what to do about tariffs right here and now, whether we do business with Canada or Mexico or China. And of course, those tariffs mean that Americans ultimately pay a higher price. Once that product crosses the U.S. border, the company pays for it, the U.S. company pays for it, and then most of the time, U.S. consumers get past that additional increase. And businesses are having to think this whole thing through now of how they're going to pass those new higher prices off to consumers who are already wary about inflation. And one thing I also hear from a number of businesses is there isn't some short-term solution for them. They can't just say, oh, well, Mexico costs us more to do business with now, so we're going to move our production here to the United States. I've talked to businesses who've tried in the past to do manufacturing in the U.S. They just can't find the production. They can't find the factories here. They can't get their supplies here. So they really are facing a conundrum. And we've also heard it from the bigger companies like Best Buy and Target who say they will be rising their prices as well.
And Rebecca, this is also being blamed on fears of a recession. The president did not rule that out when asked about that over the weekend, that the tariffs could potentially put us in that territory. But the White House is downplaying that, saying we should be prepared for a transition period. How are economists and investors responding to that?
Well, we've already been in a slowing period as far as growth is concerned. Ever since the Federal Reserve started hiking interest rates to try to target inflation, the entire objective has been to slow this economy down. And so the economy has been slowing down. We just saw it in the jobs report on Friday, 151,000 jobs added for the month. That's not a bad report. It's just not as strong as things had been. And there's this real probability, this possibility now, and some economists are increasing the prospects of the potential for it, that there could be a recession, because if you have the business community spending more money, you have consumers who generate the growth in the economy. If we look at prices and say, well, they've just gotten too far out of reach, we then pull back as consumers, we spend less money, businesses hire fewer people, then that has an impact on jobs as well, and it becomes its own ripple effect. So all of those factors are now leading into what you're seeing in the markets. And you mentioned at the beginning, the Nasdaq tech stocks have been some of the biggest hit right now. And that's in part because the AI trade, which was so on fire for such a long period of time, has now really come under pressure because in part of competition from China.
All right, Rebecca Jarvis, thank you.